We know when we do evil things. It was Ronald Reagan who invented the phrase for the Soviet Union, evil empire. But I also have no doubt that today we are the evil empire.
The price good men pay for indifference to public affairs is to be ruled by evil men.
The government's unconstrained. They can do what they think they can get away with, and they've gotten away with a tremendous amount so far. So we can only work to try and get the beast under control, bring this rogue superpower under control. Without another war,
there can be the potential for a rogue element if it's coupled with radical right-wing ideology, and it always is, it seems to be, because that's, you know, that's the sort of personality that gravitates to that world.
The World Court found that what we did was illegal, which is true, and as a result of that, in the minds of people, we look at the United States as a rogue country.
We're on the phone with Barbara Ann Steegmuller talking about her film Superpower. Barbara Ann, the clip that we just aired showed people indicating that they felt the U.S. was actually a rogue state. What is your opinion on that?
If you believe that the United States is a rogue superpower, then this means it is determined to do what it wants regardless of whom it threatens or angers. Yeah. By behaving in this fashion, it will alienate its allies and convince much of the rest of the world to band together against it to try to keep it under control. Rather than increasing its security and prosperity, such behavior would drastically undermine it. There are many people who contend it has already crossed that line.
Do you think that the major media has done its part to make that happen?
Seems to me that the major media in the United States is a mouthpiece for the White House press. It doesn't really inform people. It doesn't contrast. And you go from one station to the next station, they basically say the same thing. Now, I teach college, and I always ask my students, read what the U.S. media has to say, and then go on to the Internet, if you can get a hold of foreign papers, try to see different viewpoints of the same subject matter, and there somewhere in the middle is the truth.
Barbara Ann, if we're this bad now with our domination of the world, what's it going to be like in 50 years or even 20 years?
Much of the domination that we have is being leveled out in the military, but the big problem is the corporation that comes lobbying to the government, where we have so much invested in these multinational corporations, and it's ruined our jobs here in this country. And it's ruining other countries where you had the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund set up to help these little territories in the 30s and 40s, but the conditionalities that they imposed on these countries don't apply anymore because they're now nations.
Right.
Resent us because the United States appoints the president of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund is usually British and American. And so they see these two nations as putting a real clamp on their development. They don't want competition, but we want to have cheap labor and resources, and we don't do anything to help really develop these nations. That's where a lot of the resentment is, and that's where a lot of our economics are tied up, and our politics is supporting it.
Right. In your film, you have the Mahar Arar. He was the victim of terrible torture. He was a victim of this extraordinary rendition. Besides that, we have these secret prisons, perhaps holding people over indefinitely here in this country, and we have a lot of secrecy. What effect has that had on our standing in the world?
It has people afraid of us. They don't know what to expect from us because we say one thing and we're doing something else. One of the things that I'm really concerned about is the Military Commissions Act. It was signed by George Bush in 2006. That is what I would say tantamount to the Alien Sedition Acts. It really should be banned. It is allowing people to be under surveillance, have no Miranda rights, and be taken in the middle of the night to a private security area, another secret prison, without anyone even notifying you and notifying a judge or a lawyer. They can't talk to anyone about it.
Right.
Barbara Ann, thank you very much for being on the program with us tonight.
How do people get to see your film, Barbara Ann?
Yeah, real quick.
If you go to www.superpowerthemovie.com, there's information on how to obtain it.
Great.
Thank you, Barbara.
very
And
much.
coming up next, we have Corey Brackett. She's been on before. She's a film producer as well.